In Large Scale Scrum, LeSS, technical excellence is key to success. Therefore, we focus on technical excellence during adoption as well as in continued product development. We focus now on technical excellence.
Consumer-driven contracts. Consumer-driven contracts are valuable in cases of developing new features or changing existing features. They, among other things, provide a technique in code as well as in mindset. In mindset, in terms that the consumer is set into the center and the necessary changes evolve. By setting the consumer as the source, it is guiding the alteration of code, processes, and integration. It also provides a means of continuously reassuring that we are still on track. Using this technique, we operate within the coordination and integration section of the LeSS framework and utilize the principle of communicating code and, to some regard, specification by example.
By communicating code. Code is the ultimate proof of working functionality. All the communication done by email, PowerPoint, or the coffee corner may be necessary to understand the bigger picture or to achieve a certain level of coordination, but normally they doesn't yield a working implementation.
What is the challenge? Complex products mean frequently many teams. Many teams means many parallel threads of development, and this yields many code interactions, which leads to difficulties in introducing new code or changing behavior of the existing product. Why? Products, big in size and complexity, typically accumulates many artifacts over time. Artifacts such as classes, structures, schemas, processes, and interfaces within didactic systems. Having all these artifacts in mind and care for them during each and every line of code added or changed during the product lifetime and development is kind of difficult. The experiment consumer-driven contracts. Stop by experiments. By using the scientific method of experiments and validations, we make sure the proposal fits the context. Also, by taking this approach explicitly, we are strengthening the learning and develop the ability to apply this method to novel challenges. Keep in mind, someone has to be the first, and being the first, you need to have strong tools to support you. LeSS is using frequently the experiment and validation to emphasize that all needs to fit into the situation and context. If you want to have some more ideas about experiments, check Craig's and Barr's book, Practices for Scaling Lean and Agile Development. Now taking a look into an example for consumer-driven contracts. This here is a little example about autonomous drone flying project, especially the fly straight strategy. You see here simulation, flight recorder, and our unit under test. But this is only our specification for the fly straight strategy. Our flying strategy specification here is implying some behavior from flight simulation, not explicitly stated here. These implicit assumptions about the behavior of flight simulations does limit the ability of implementing flight simulation in the first place and changing the flight simulations according to changes in requirements. The consumer-driven contracts addressing these kind of implicit behavior by making them explicit. Here's an example for the explicit contracts for flight strategy to flight simulation. You see here two different statements that need to be true for the flight simulation. By stating these examples here explicitly, it is obvious what needs to be implemented in the first place and what needs to be held true for all further development in the context of the flight strategy. Flight strategy is only one consumer of flight simulation. Bear in mind that there will be many more consumers for flight simulations, all of them imposing other different contracts on the flight simulations. These are guiding the implementations and the further development of flight simulation by itself. We did make implicit assumption explicit by providing explicit specification for them, and we only asserted actual required behavior. You can also assert structures of document, but only assert those parts of the document you actually need. And don't get confused with IO journals.
What do I mean with IO journals? I/O channels such as UI user interface, HTTP to connect you to the world, field bus to connect you to hardware.
If you consider I/O channels for your domain important or even essential, then you should practice clean architecture and separate your business logic from your I/O channel. Keep your domain model as neutral and clean from I/O channel artifacts as possible and provide the ability to block doubles as channels. Back to our scientific experiment, consumer-driven contracts. The most important part of any scientific experiment is the evaluation. Here are some ideas which aspects of this experiment may be valuable for a decision. Knowing some of the aspects prior to executing the experiment can lead to a different experiment design, and may therefore lead to different results. Don't invest too much time in the perfect setup. Remember, we are operating in a complex and ever-changing world.
This was Michael, more with less.